Welcome to the Trainer HQ podcast, the show that's all about helping fitness professionals start, grow, and scale world-class coaching businesses. Whether you're based inside a gym, run your own studio, or building an online fitness business, we've got the best practice tools, strategies, and real-world experience to fuel your success. Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Trainer HQ podcast. It's Brad Shepherd here and I've got Mr. Jason Nebanowicz. How you going, brother?
Good, mate. I like those shoes.
You do? Thanks for acknowledging them and recognising them.
Yeah, no, I like them. Good.
Shoes to the side, mate. We've got something else really special in here.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
We got the big Mr. Jacob Watto.
Yes.
How are you, bro?
Boys, I'm going well. Thanks to be here. I also like your shoes, Brad.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, thanks for recognising that too and acknowledging. If you're watching on YouTube, that they are there. Got the bare feet on, so yeah.
What are they if they're not watching it?
Well, they can just imagine what these fucking amazing shoes would look like.
Yeah. All right. Good. This is probably the best intro we've had. Never.
It's a delayed one, isn't it?
And Entrepreneur of the Year.
Well, yeah, 2024.
Like it's a big one. It's a big podcast. We don't get
Royalty.
We don't get royalty in this neck of the woods too often.
You don't. So, Jacob Watto, first of all, mate, we've got a lot to unpack today. But first of all, tell us a bit about your facility, what you do, who you serve.
Yeah, cheers, boys. I'm excited to be here. Excited to share the journey as well. I'm sure we'll dive into that. But WattFit is what I'm the proud owner and creator and founder of. We're up in Caloundra. So got a studio there. We're definitely a community-focused gym. Do predominantly group training. But since joining you boys, we've added more strings to our bow. So I do a lot of personal training and semi-private training now. So, but definitely a community-focused facility. One-of-a-kind community mind. It really is. I know most community gyms probably say that, and they're probably all unique in their own ways. But it's a great little crew. So we're in Caloundra, run a bunch of group training, some personal training, and as I said, some semi-private training.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to, first of all, paint the picture if someone's just trying to picture, like how many square meters do you have?
Yeah, so on the floor we got just short of 100 in a sort of an industrial setup, and then there's a couple of offices that I sublease out now to a naturopath upstairs, and I have a coastal body compositioner downstairs, so the in-body scans type thing. So I've done a couple of collabs with them, which works quite well. So yeah, I guess it's about 140 square if you include the offices, but yeah, as I said, the gym floor about 100 and does everything we need. Yoga, Pilates, boxing, strength. So yeah, sort of ticks all the boxes.
Love it. And I guess what I hear from that just goes to show that you don't need a huge space, and 100 square meters is a decent amount of space, but like you don't need a massive amount of space to create a successful business, right?
That's spot on, and we're obviously smart with it. Storage has been the biggest challenge in a space like that, but if you're smart with it, you can really make the most of the floor, and we have no issues.
So, and then there's a combination you're doing one-on-ones for the times where you don't have the group. Is that right? So,
yeah, spot on. Yeah, got the group training sort of as, I guess, the core side of things. And then in between that is the semi-private and the PT sort of in around that.
Yep.
It would be, I guess, if you were looking at a studio like that, maybe one of the bottlenecks is, how would you run that somewhat simultaneously? But for us, sort of running back to back and works really, really well.
How many do you get in a class or a group?
So our capacity is 16 in a group session. And our occupancy is something that we track as well and sort of tinker with the numbers. But there are some sessions that I sort of run as a smaller group, 6 or 8, and sort of track it that way just based on the time of the day, the mid-morning and whatever. But so 16, and then the semi-privates is 4 to 5 max.
Right. And then you obviously worked out how many sessions you're going to do each week, and was that a learning curve in itself? Just, do I put too many on? Have I put too many on? Not enough?
Yeah, for sure. It's always sort of change, and even seasonally sometimes it changes. There was times where I definitely committed to too many sessions and sort of spread them out, and now condense them back into one because you get a better flow, and then you can prioritize the PT, because that was something that I didn't do before joining you boys. Was I didn't do a lot of one-on-one personal training, and that became a big priority to sort of get going, and something that's really built over the last couple of years. And obviously personal training, better cash flow, higher ticket, higher charge out rate. So you got to find that as a priority as well.
And did most of the people then do the one-on-ones, they were doing the group, and you made it available. Is that?
A little bit. There was a few that rolled into doing PT, but it's a different clientele, I guess, for sure. And so you just sort of added a different dynamic to the business by bringing it in. People that obviously want to get involved in the one-on-one side of things, and like a lot of them I've trained for years now, and I've got my sort of my hours and my PTs that I really I really enjoy, and I'm in a position now to sort of prioritize those, and definitely could be something that I went harder in, but for me, I'm really like to find my balance of freedom and work. I've always stuck true to that. So at the moment, I'm really happy with how it sits, and it's cool to be in a position to be able to make that decision. Like early on, it was like, you're grabbing anyone at any time sort of thing. But now it's like, that time for me is important to do on my own as well. And you got to make it work for you.
That's great. So good. Such great to unpack. When did you start in this facility? Like, how long have you actually been in the current space for?
Yeah, October 2022. So we're coming up 2 and a bit years, I think.
Yeah, going to be 3 years this 3
October. Years in October, which, is crazy to think about. It's flown by. I bet. So you didn't start there, but so let's now, we've spoken about WattFit. We've unpacked a bit about that. People are getting a picture behind what WattFit looks like. And actually a great thing would be for them to actually check out your Insta, right? Because for sure.
Insta's very vibrant, isn't it? You're very active on there.
Yeah, we are very active on there. Definitely jump on WattFit Caloundra. As I said, community focus, and we're built on the characters and the personalities within the community. And like I said, we're unique in our own way. And I guess when you put that out there, you attract more of that. And that's how community gyms sort of evolve.
So if someone wants to follow that, that's at
WattFit Caloundra.
WATT.
Yep, FIT.
Yep.
Caloundra. That'll be the spot.
Yeah, sweet. Now let's rewind the clock. So when did you actually launch in the industry? How many years ago? What year was it?
Yeah, I was back end of maybe 2017, 18. So it's coming up just over 8 years now. So if you work that back, around then. Yeah, a while ago.
And kicked off more in boot camps, right?
Yeah, definitely started more as a boot camp on the coast. I sort of moved up there to launch a boot camp with, at the time, a business partner that was doing that, who I'd known for a little bit through playing footy, and he sort of became my first mentor, I guess. And he had the blueprint, and I sort of was out there executing, I guess you could say, to get started. And honestly, I was just kind of making it up as I went. To be honest, I was very green, but at that point of your life, you're taking on the world. You feel invincible. So got started that way. Did that for ages. Park schools, scout halls. We sort of moved around. Any place that we could not get kicked out of, because sometimes the council at parks are a bit like, no, you can't be doing that here. Yeah. So it was a bit of making it up to start with, but had a vision and a goal, I guess, and had someone that was helping me, I guess, learn the ropes in a lot of ways.
Great. And then from there, that led you into your first facility.
Yes, we built enough to move into a studio that was, this one was tiny, like I would say 40 or 50 square meters, and we actually outgrew that probably within a year. As you can imagine, it was small, and in a group training you wanted to do a bit more. So we went all out. We sort of went to a 400 square facility and had plans for it, but that was sort of just as COVID started. So it didn't work out there either.
So that's massive, 10x your space. 40 square meters to 400.
Yeah, it was a big bite. It was always going to be a challenge, but that's the mindset I was in, I guess, at that stage. And
And what challenges or what struggles did you encounter at that point in time? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, as you can imagine, you need more members. And at that point, the only thing that I really did was group training and paid marketing, and it became quite, I guess you need to have big spend in that space, and a lot of group facilities, your F45, all the names you can think of are in that market. So you're sort of competing against bigger people, I guess, or bigger fish that have more ad spend. And I think at that stage it was, a bit saturated, I think, for sure. And then COVID sort of was the nail in the coffin at that point, because we just, we couldn't be in the gym. So we went online for probably 3 or 4 months. We were kind of blessed, I guess, in Queensland compared to others, but we did the online thing. I couldn't have done that for another week, I don't don't reckon, but we got through that period.
Zoom-based
sessions, yeah. And at that time, I had a couple of trainers, and I was definitely trying to do the right thing in continuing to hold onto them, even though at that time it probably didn't make sense. Which, reflecting back, I was putting myself last in a lot of ways to look after everyone else. And it was natural evolution that you lose members through that, and people were like, oh, you're online. We were just in a gym, and my situation's changed. So we lost a number of members through that. I know a lot of people did, and that sort of forced our hand out of the facility, which I was able to get out of the lease and went back to being a boot camp at my local footy club, which was a big change. But for me, it was familiar because that's how I started. But for a lot of members, if they weren't there initially in those initial stages, it was back to we're at a footy club and we're doing things different. But I've always been blessed, I guess, with members that are committed to the cause, and for them it didn't matter where we were. It was more they wanted to continue to invest and be part of the community. And
hearing that, because there was a bit there, hey, what did you learn about yourself, going through that whole period? So you've gone 10x, COVID, things unexpected, but now you're back at the footy club. Yeah. I guess some people that might be, I'm throwing the towel in, like I'm done, I'm not cut out for this business stuff. What did you learn about yourself? And
I wasn't far off that. I've always thrived on adversity. I know that's an inevitable part of being in business, but personally, I've had personal challenges and things that I've been able to overcome, and I guess through that period I was sort of leaning into that as much as I could, because I knew that if we were able to just survive and get through, and maybe I was just stubborn and had an ego and didn't want to fail, but to the point that I was like, if we can get through this will be a cool story to tell one time. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, if you can get through that, you can get through anything. Now it's almost like you turn up a different person eventually if you can just find a way to get through and hold on. And, as I said, it's an inevitable buy-in in business is you're going to have struggles and adversity. And COVID was one that everyone was facing, and a lot of people, did well through COVID. Everyone had their different challenges, but fitness was like, I guess one of those things where it was like people needed it still as well, and people were still jumping on the Zooms. And so for me, I was like, I've still got people that I need to serve. And so to get through that period there, I guess you just build a lot of self-belief would be the main thing, coming out the other side of a huge challenge. Yeah,
good for anyone listening if they're going through that to understand that part. And we talk about a lot that anyone can thrive and the times are good,
going well, for sure.
And if that's all you can handle, then business won't be for you.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But also seeing the challenges and the struggles that it's there to bring out the best in you.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so and I've always tried to lean into that as much as I can. For sure.
Well, it's not fun. Nah. At the time, you go, well, there's obviously something bigger in this for me to rise above it. And I talk about this a lot. What I have to deal with now versus like if I take my 20 years ago, I'd be. Stuff that was stressing me out back then, I'd be laughing at it now. That would be awesome.
You wish you had that challenge.
You
get the perspective change.
So now you're here, you go, well, you're right. It's just another thing to solve. Yeah, it's another problem to overcome.
And you need to build the evidence, I guess, for yourself. And once you've stacked that evidence enough times, you start to just turn up a different person, you face things differently. And so you need to just little compound wins, I guess, like that add up over a long period of time.
Yeah. So powerful. Anyone listening to this, that's the message right there. That's the learning.
For sure.
Well, if you bail on yourself and you quit every time something gets hard, that's your innate
that's your default
program, right? But if you go, that's not great. However, where's the opportunity in this and can I rise above it? Yeah, you're onto something good.
No, for sure.
Now, not to drag you through the shit, but you did,
while we're there,
let's relive it.
You did actually say that you were on the cusp of wanting to throw it in. Explain that, because we're familiar with the story, but a lot of people wouldn't have heard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is one that still I can vividly remember my phone call with Jace initially because I sort of had that partnership that didn't sort of work out and was sort of left on my own, I guess. So I sort of had this understanding of enough that I could run some group training, and I wanted to do and come back and have my own studio again. We sort of went our separate ways, and I was sort of just on my own, I guess, and had no accountability, and was just sort of going through the motions, and I guess was heavily in the red. I was looking after trainers, I was losing members, and it was just like I was turning up with a smile on my face, but like internally I was like, yeah, like this is not good, you know? And so you're sort of just keeping your head above water. And it sort of just got to a point where I was like, I know that I've worked well under a mentor before. I got the love for this. I know what I want to do. I just need more direction. I need systems. And so I reached out to you boys. And yeah, I remember pulling over, had my phone call with Jace. I remember pulling over, and I was pretty nervous, to be honest, because, you know, I was sort of just in that position of high anxiety week on week. And I remember just from the initial phone call with Jace, I just felt a connection and a value alignment where I was just like, wow, I think this is going to be a good thing. And we went through the blueprint process, went through the business, and then I guess the coaching process, meeting Carlson for the first time as well. Yeah. On the phone, I thought he was the maniac, but we also instantly clicked in a lot of ways. And I sort of, you sort of settle. But it was just good to have that alignment, I guess, of someone that, you know, was going to believe in you again, and show you the way, sort of thing. So yeah, that's sort of how that eventuated.
Yeah, so good. That would have been at the end of, was it the end of 2020 or the start of 21?
I reckon start of 21. Yeah, just 21. Coming out the back. And I was still operating from the footy club at the time. And then chatting to Carlson, and Carlson's like, you're going to have your own studio again. You're going to have your name on the door. And I was like at that time, I was in a position where I was like, mate, are you seeing my business? I'm no chance at that, you know?
Because I said to Carl, he's fucked.
I thought he was a maniac the first phone call, but he just managed, and with the U boys as well, just instilled that belief, you know? You had someone on your side that you didn't have before when you're doing it on your own. I
distinctly remember, though, like your attitude, like even though I know it was a shitty spot and you were going through it, it was just your attitude. And we've done this for so long now, almost 20 years, that within talking to somebody within 10 minutes, I can tell like pretty well. I can tell this person's got potential, and they'll be able to have what it takes to get through this or to be successful. Because you got to do it still, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think this person has it, you know, or this person does have it. They just need the help, the support, the guidance, expertise.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why I managed to hold on, because I knew I had that as well. Like I've played footy at a decent level, and I've always just got the best out of myself. I was never the most talented. I was never definitely not the quickest, but I always worked hard, and so I've had that belief in myself that, you know, if you do the work, you get the results. It was just a matter of, I guess, getting the systems and then doing the work and having someone looking over you, or at least some accountability that everyone needs, I think, at some level.
Yeah. You were quicker than Ryan, though, were you?
I'd get him at the moment, only because he's on one leg.
Right. Shout out to Mr. Ryan Lyon. Who won in AFL when you played against Ryan Lyon?
That year, I reckon we sort of went back and forth, but I reckon they got us in a final when it counted, unfortunately. Okay. So he's one up on me.
Okay. Yeah. You guys will be partying in Bali together when you're over.
We'll sort that out over a couple of beers, I reckon.
So now, like 4+ years into the coaching program and under Carlson as your coach, backtrack, you know, the journey a bit about what the experience has been like for you over that time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I said, my first phone call with him, I felt a connection, and again, a value alignment, which is, you know, testament to you boys and having the quality of coaches that you do. And I think just what he'd done, I was definitely like, I would like to go and do that for sure. And seeing his facility and his setup was awesome to see. It sort of gives you that direction, I guess. And then just catching up with him once a month, like I said, the belief side of things that he instills in you as a coach, just every phone call was just, it was an hour of jam-packed back and forth. It was over like that. And then it was a matter of, as we said earlier, go out and do the things that you've spoken about. And that's always something that him and I have chatted about, that I've prided myself on, is we would have a catch up. We would have all these things. We're both like come out of it ready to run through a wall. And then it's like, go and actually do it, you know, and follow through. And that's always what I think how I've come through the program, and started to year on year start to excel, I guess, a little bit more than the last year was just taking action on things that we actually spoke about. And not all of them have worked out, although especially last year, it felt like everything him and I touched was turning to gold. We were just, bringing things in and different, adding strings to our bow, I guess, which was really cool. And like I said to you boys, I was group training only. Came in, Carlson was like, I think you should look at doing some one-on-one, and I was like, yeah, let's do that, and that's built to a point now where since joining yous, I've doubled my charge out rate for an hour fee, awesome. And I didn't even used to do it before, even seeing you boys, and having that experience, and then the semi-private training that we've added in the last year has been awesome. It's selling out every 12-week block that I run, so we're just adding these things, I guess, and programs and value add to our current members. That's just, I guess, snowball, and that's where I had a big shift. I think I was chatting to you earlier, Brad, around just I've always been impact driven, and I was trying to impact as many people as I could with group training, whereas what I'd started to focus on was just who's in front of me and how can I service them and bring value to them. And by doing that, you increase your profitability and you bring in different things, and then naturally more people are drawn to that as well. So now we've got all these layers to our business as well.
Yeah. You got those 3-tiered system. So you got the higher ticket, those that want to do private one-on-one PT. You got the middle range, those that do in the semi-private, and you got the group. And I guess what I'm hearing as well is you've increased your average client dollar value.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively. And I think, I can remember back to Carlson as well. When I was moving back through the boot camp side of things, scale back, I was sort of dropping my rates, thinking I'm not offering as much. I'm not in the studio anymore. I've got to drop the price. And one of the first things he chatted to me about was we need to increase your charge out. And I was like, fuck, I don't know about that. We're at a footy club, like we can't be charging any more than what we are. But it was a distinct line in the sand moment of commit to growth and elevate yourself to those standards. And we increased the charge out rate. I sent a letter out to everyone that said, this is what I'm going to commit to as part of this increase. And then the onus was on me to follow through, and no one left, not a single member. Everyone was like, yeah, we're on board. We want to see you do well. And so committed to that. And the charge out rate with the PT has been the same year on year. I up my charge out rate, and members, they don't blink. They're like, yeah, we want to train with you. And it makes sense. You're becoming a better trainer. You're offering more. We understand that your rate is going to go up because you're leveling yourself up, because you've made that commitment to them, therefore you've got to do it yourself as well.
I love that that's what we're going to be doing in Bali this year, is like elevating yourself, and you got to commit to moving up.
Yeah, for sure.
Hearing that going, I'm at a footy club.
Yeah.
So how can I charge more?
Yeah.
Well, it's not the footy club.
It's not the footy club. Yeah. You got to get that little voice out of your head. It's not that everyone struggles with.
Not that I'm in a home studio. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
No, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Or you just deliver a fucking home studio, $30 session, because that's where you're playing at.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep, you can go one or two ways in the perspective for sure.
Yeah. And if
anyone's sitting there listening and wondering what's this Bali thing, the Ignite Your Ultimate Success Summit's coming up. Big Watto's come along for the first time.
First time.
You're an Ignite virgin.
I was about to say, Bali virginity is always on the way out.
It'll be your first time in Bali. It'll be your first time to the Ignite event. And so anyone tuning into this, we're going to put the link into it. The 2026 event we're just about to launch this year. We've got up to 30 people coming over. It's always an absolute smash hit where we work on business, personal development. But the end game, big fella, hey, is just to help people elevate themselves to the top of their game.
I thought you said to get drunk. But yeah.
A little bit of partying too.
You got to
yin yang, isn't it?
Definitely to keep elevating yourself and not settle for the standard of where you were a year ago, 2 years ago. Just keep growing, personally, professionally. So
yeah, speaking of
which is what we're hearing here.
Absolutely. And big events, brother. Your birthday this Sunday.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's a big one on the calendar.
Big dog. How old will you be?
29 on Sunday. 29. Bit of an underwhelming age, really, isn't it? Year before 30.
Quite there.
On the cusp.
Yeah.
On the cusp before the dirty 30. So, yeah, mate, that's super cool. I want to speak about coaching and your experience. Like some people operate at different frequencies and how much they take on. So you're the type of client through the coaching experience where you're good with 2 or 3 tasks per month, Are you good with 7 or 8, or do you go feed me with like 10 or more? How has that worked?
Yeah, for you? Like I said, when Carlos and I catch up, we chat about there's a bunch of things that come, but I think you just got to prioritize. There's only ever one important thing, and we definitely try to just tackle the biggest thing at a time. But we're starting to now have conversations around working on things in the background, because it's not dire straits anymore. When I first joined, it was like, we've got to tackle the biggest priority. And in business, there's so many things that, there's a long list that will just never end. But it's like, how can I just take on the biggest thing that's going to make the biggest difference? So I think you got to try and shortlist it and then prioritize it and then take that head on as much as you can. So a handful of things I think is enough for me, without making the list too, because otherwise you end up overwhelmed, I guess.
It's a great point. We speak about it with all new clients that are onboarding as well, and we go, look, again, it's not for most people. They're going to create a big action list, 20, 30. These are all things I should be doing, right? And all of us in business, and that list keeps growing. And what happens? It becomes overwhelming. Don't know where to start, what to do first. But it's like, hold on, you live and breathe it, right? It's like the 2, 3, or if I could do 2 or 3 things this month and tick the box on that. Do that month in, month out over the course of a year. There's 24 to 36 new things you've implemented. It's a massive amount, right, in the business.
No, for sure. It's almost like with a client. If a client comes to you, you can take your own learning there. Like, there's only ever one thing for a client that they probably need to get on top of for the month. So if you're coaching someone in that capacity already, you just got to, I guess, take some of your own learning there.
So we heard about the back of the footy club.
Yeah.
Paint the picture for us now after that. So, you're in that situation. We met you. You met Carlson. What was the time frame to pull out of that situation, and what did it take to do that?
Yeah, I reckon it was 12 to 18 months of joining you boys and in that situation. And the first phone call, Carlson said to me, "You're going to have your own name on the door." And at this point, I was a different business and brand. I wasn't WattFit. So we were having exciting conversations around what that looked like, and that was fun going through the name process and what do we want to be represented of, the logo,
the branding.
Yeah, the branding. And that's the sort of stuff that, you just sit with internally and you just sort of let drive you and make happen, I guess, you're dreaming about. But it was probably 12 to 18 months of getting that right. In that process, our hand was sort of forced a little bit because I've come across a potential studio, which I was very fortunate through a client. He actually sort of was about to purchase this property, and he said, look, because he'd sort of been there from the start.
Remember that?
If you want to, he's like, look, mate, come and have a look at it. And in that position, although we were still building and coming, starting to sort of find our legs, in 12 to 18 months, you're moving forward, but it was still a jump. It wasn't like we were like desperate for a studio. It was still a process of, it's still a bit scary, it's still a bit scary. Like, the numbers are still on the way up, but I think it just made sense in terms of timing. And that's when we launched the WattFit brand, the studio all at once with the colors and just took what equipment I had, added some little bits and bobs, and since then I've just sort of year on year, got a little bit of this in that corner and been smart with that as much as I can, waited to sort of see what we're going to use and need and just let it organically look after itself, I guess. It was quite quick, and it was still a jump. It was still that leap, I guess, that you got to take. It wasn't like we were just, desperate for a studio. It was still a bit of a jump, but from that point onwards, it's been good guns. It's been awesome getting that solidarity, I guess, in one spot.
Even that's like we talk about, like, a lot of times it doesn't work out perfect timing, does it?
Nah,
like,
there's never a perfect
I'll
time.
wait till I get to here and then I'll do it. But now I've been offered this studio, and it's probably about 4 months prior to what I was thinking.
Yeah, spot on. And you just find ways, like, you got to come up with bond, you got to sign the lease, you got to deck the studio out, and you just find ways to get that done if you really want it, I think.
Yeah, and obviously you would have done all your due diligence. This is what it's going to cost. This is break even, all that stuff. But then it's still, at some point, it's taken that back in yourself. I'm assuming
for sure
that you went, it's probably earlier, but let's go for it.
No, for sure.
I back myself to do it.
It was you got momentum. You feel like you're onto a good thing, you know, and you've been like, I've been in some much worse situations than this in studio. So like, you know, you've got that in the back of your mind as well. It couldn't have been worse than the last time.
That's what I was thinking. You go, I've been here.
I've been here before. Yeah.
And we're still around. We're still making it.
You still make it through, don't you?
Yeah, it must have been quite the experience because you've gone from 400 square meters down to 40 square meters. Now I'm going back to 100 square meters. So.
And I think that's perfect for now. I won't do the big one again. Not just yet anyway.
You got a team member on board?
I do, which is a really cool story. She joined me on an internship. So she sort of wanted to do her Cert 3 and 4, and it's something that I've now got another intern, which is cool, after bringing the first one through in about a 12-month process. And that's just involved me sort of coaching while they're doing their Cert. Once a week we just catch up and obviously chat about the study side of things, but also let them into the business a little bit in terms of how we do things, which has been really, really cool. She was actually my first or second Hall of Fame inductees, which is 5 years of being a client. So she's a couple years more than that now. It's been sort of 7 years. So she's been right back from when I was at the schools and the parks and the scout hall. She's been a client to the point that she's, you know, been around long enough that she wants to get involved in what we're doing. So it just made sense to set up the internship and spend 12 months really transitioning into being a trainer and now looking after some group sessions, which is cool. And the sky's the limit with someone like that who's willing to grow and spend 12 months in an internship, that you got a great relationship with them at the end of that. So that's been really cool to bring on. And as I said, got another one now, just started an internship started this year. So we're starting to create this culture that, you know, I was telling you boys we have that's unique. We've got these people that are really committed to the cause, committed to what we do, the community, that also want to get involved. So yeah, that's exciting.
So good,
so wonderful. And you've got energy and enthusiasm, right? So you're still at the front of it and you're doing it. And you've got your balance of working in and working on the business. So
absolutely.
What's your typical week like? How many physical sessions would you do per week in total? I'm doing, of the, say 21 group sessions we do, I'm running 18. So she's running a couple. And then in between that, the semi-privates, I've got, say 4 or 5 of them that I run, that come a couple of days. And then I do my, say 10 to 12 hours of PT a week. So I guess in contact hours, I think I've worked it out to be between, say 25 and 28 hours of face-to-face stuff, which works for me. And I've still, as you said, I like my balance. So I like to be able to, you know, fill my cup as well, and I get away on weekends and through the middle of the week. I've sort of still got my time through the middle of the day that I like to enjoy the coast lifestyle. Like I live, you know, on the beach. You got to make the most of it, sort of thing. And I've always stayed true to that, no matter what. And as I said, it's been cool now to start to build your business to serve that, and stick true to that, and work the hours that you sort of want to work. I think that's really, really important. Otherwise, you risk burning out, for sure, as I'm sure most people have felt. But as you said, Brad, there, like I still have high energy because I've probably always managed to stick to that. I've never burned myself out. I've never committed or overcommitted to too many hours. I've stuck true to that, and I think that's why I'm able to still turn up with the energy that I have day in, day out. And it's really common feedback I get. Even my members are like, you just got so much energy. So which helps in the job, because I'm very extroverted. I'm always around people. But I think a big part of it is that as well, is just being able to stay true to you with what your week looks like and fill your cup as much as you can. Yeah, and finding your happy balance, because for some people that they would struggle with that, but you've got to find the thing that inspires you, because obviously for you that energizes you, right? So
absolutely.
Turning other people would drain them.
And I lent into that in my submission with you boys last year for the Entrepreneur of the Year. Like, I could do more hours and I could bring in more and I could do that, but it's just not me, right? And your business needs to serve you. I'm a big believer in that. So it was like, how can this business work for me and my lifestyle? And I think that's the ultimate goal of entrepreneurship, really. There's too much out there. I know there's a big push in entrepreneurship and it's all these hours and nights. And for some people, fine if that's how you want to approach it, but it can be whatever you want it to be. And I've always just tried to make it work for me. And I feel like I've, especially in the last year, made that work.
Well, that's the important part, that line there going, it can be what you want it to be. And I think you can get caught up, people get caught up and go, I need the bigger facility and what's next? And, you know, and you're comparing yourself
Yeah, and I'm sort of sitting with that almost right now. Like I had this years of getting to this point that I'm at now, and now I'm sort of just sitting with that, enjoying where I'm at, and just starting to think about what I really want to do next, and not get caught up in just because you've been doing that in a bigger facility. You don't have to go and do that just because that's what you think you got to do, because you're more likely going to fall on your face probably if it's not really your drive. So that's the conversations Carlos and I are having now, which is a cool conversation to have, to get to a position that you've always dreamed of, and then sit with it for a bit and have these honest conversations and chat to someone who has potentially that and what that looks like. And if I didn't have him, it would be a bit more like you're sort of making those decisions on your own a little bit. So just having someone to chat that out with, I think that's been and done what you want to do and where they went wrong and what they would do again. I'm forever grateful to have him for that, because he has done exactly that, I guess.
Yeah. And back to the decision process, people will make decisions based on either fear, based on uncertainty, but greed, whatever status might be the thing.
So I look at me, I've got 4 facilities, but 2 of them are going well.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is someone's very clear on their business model, very clear on how to make it profitable, very clear on the numbers, the team, lifestyle. The culture.
Yeah.
Stepping outside business for a moment, but share with us your footy, because mate, you've got the lifestyle there too.
I play footy down in country Victoria. Did that last year, which I
forgot about that.
Sounds crazy, I know, but that's actually a story in itself, I guess, in what we were just touching on, because I sort of had that opportunity come through as an offer, I guess, to go and try. And at the time, I was very hesitant because I was like, oh well, I don't want to leave my business, going away, because I'd fly out on a Friday, play on the Saturday, come back on the Sunday. And I think at first I was very hesitant, and I was sort of having initial conversations with my mate.
Doing this every weekend?
Well, most weekends, most. It was sort of a bit flexible with how many you want to play and whatnot, but I was keen to play most of the year. And then I chatted to the coach, and he was sort of like, just come down whenever you feel like it, come and, just see how it goes. So at first I was like, well, no, I can't. And then I was like, well, hold on a second. Footy for me fills my cup. It's something I've always done. And to have an experience like that, to just go and try it actually ended up serving me, because it was forced time away from the business as well. Like even on your weekend, for the way we do it is we have a lot of fun. We go down, you're getting everything that you want from footy, which is mateship, obviously getting some competitive part of yourself out as well, but it was forced time to just not think about business as well. Like you got 2 days there where you're thinking about anything else, and I think that ended up serving me most of last year as well, just to tick the box and fill the cup and have a little bit of time off, because otherwise, even in the off season this year, felt myself just in your own mind, you just always think about how you can do things, but to have that time to just switch off and go and do something you love, I think really, really served me. And this year gone again with the same club, so doing that again at the moment, so we're going pretty well so far, which is good.
It's a country team, so tell us about the home games that you do and when you guys finish and what happens then. So I play for Hay, sort of about an hour from Griffith, hour and a half. So population of 3,500, and so home games, we go and play there, and we stay there for the night, and we head down the pub and we get around the locals and the community, and it's the best part about footy. It's why you play footy is for that side of things, to meet new people, and we have a great time there for the night, and they love their footy there and they love their local team, and so it's great to come down and obviously help them out as well. And last year we actually got done in the granny, but this year we're going well. We haven't lost yet, so it's good to be part of a winning culture as well.
So it's quite the operation though. So you got to fly down to Victoria, down to Melbourne, and then get yourself there.
So when we go to Hay, we sort of get a flight from Sydney to Griffith. But for away games, the boys that we play with, they actually still travel a fair bit down into Vic, so we sort of meet them almost halfway from Melbourne. So it is a bit of an operation, but it's sort of a mini boys trip as well, because I play with the boys that I head out with. I've become really, really close mates with. You're obviously spending a lot of time with them. So I met a couple of new boys, did it with an old mate, and we make a great weekend of it. So it's been fun.
Are you saying you were doing it most weekends during the season?
I've played 5 of the first 6. So I got this weekend off for a bye, which is good for the birthday.
Oh, so you have this year 5
I've played 5 out of the first 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and so far so good with the, I've still got the energy that I rolled in with today. So we're all right.
So you're responsible for getting yourself, being footy shape and all that.
Yes.
And then you just go down and play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Last year I was blessed. I'd sort of done the Ironman and the half Ironman at the start of the year, and I was sort of very fit. This year I've not quite as fit as what I'd like to be, but still, look after yourself enough that you can go and play for sure.
That's awesome.
Done enough footy pre-seasons, I like to think now. At 29, you can start to taper off a little bit.
Yeah.
The Sunny Coast Rockstar comes in every week. How cool.
That is cool.
Let's talk about winning Trainer HQ's Entrepreneur of the Year 2024, big dog. What did it mean, first of all, to be nominated in that?
Huge. That was my third year being nominated. I think it was sort of, at the time I was like, sort of felt that feeling, I guess, of being nominated, and still even up until the event at the night, you're in a room of real high performers. And I probably had a little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit even in that room year on year, because there's so many people doing so many cool things, running some cool numbers, and you hear about it. And I probably hadn't quite placed myself personally on that level, I guess, of thinking that I was worthy. But like I said to you boys in my submission, I lent into the fact that it wasn't ever for me about the numbers. It was about creating a business that served me. And I felt like I'd definitely done that to the point that, that was my reason for doing this, and I think that was obviously received well by you boys. I think
you're going. I'm not going to accept another fucking rejection letter on this submission 3 years running.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't bother nominating me.
And I guess
don't put me through the torment.
I'm done with your nominations.
I guess if you keep getting nominated enough, you eventually win one, maybe. But yeah, I guess like I said, even up until the night, I still hadn't quite thought that I was probably worthy of that, and it wasn't until that was awarded, and then afterwards just having conversations with people and going back and reflecting and starting to lean into that. I guess I'm still honestly on a high from it. That was like 6-7 months ago, and I'm still pinch myself a little bit at just the night and winning it, and I've only grown in confidence, I guess, since then, because now I do see myself on that level. I do feel like I'm worthy of that award. But I guess when you're in your own everyday, you're not reflecting probably enough. So I guess even when you sit down and submit, you're sort of reflecting and you're like, yeah, I've done some cool things, but you're breaking it down. And for me, I'm always just on the go, what's next? And so I think it took probably winning that for me to really reflect and go, wow, I actually have done some cool stuff, and I actually have built something really, really cool. And it just solidified for me, I guess, that I was going in the right direction, because you do have that little bit of doubt otherwise, I guess, when you're comparing yourself to others a lot of the time as well, and what others are doing. So for me, it was like, yeah, this works for me, and that's received well by others, and there's probably other people out there that are doing crazy numbers that don't have the freedom that I do, that are maybe even jealous of my setup, and I'm thinking in my shoes, wow, should I be more like them? But no, like, you've just got to stay true to you, sort of thing. So I guess it wasn't until reflecting on that, even a couple of months after, that it really sat in and with my guts, and just go, sit with it. And that's why I was sort of saying to you boys, I'm just sitting with it at the moment in terms of what I want to do next, and stay true to that and find something that is true, because being blessed in a position now of that freedom of what do you want to do next, like, it's a cool question to actually sort of think on.
Yeah, well, I mean, for people listening to this story and they've heard, when we first met to where you are now, it's obvious, it should seem obvious now why you won that award, not knowing who else was in the room, but just hearing, like, that's the spirit, right? That's the THQ spirit to go from when we met you to where you are now. And that's the part that we love the most, not just this quick, wham bam, relationship,
for sure.
but we see people grow and develop, not in their business, but personally as well. And hearing how you articulated, now I'm allowed myself to go, yep, I am at that standard, and I am someone who deserves this award, and take ownership of it. That's the best thing for us to hear.
No, for sure.
It's all that work led to that, and it's a nice thing to be recognised for.
Absolutely, so, I've got the trophy loud and proud in the gym. Don't worry about that. I'd like to shout from the rooftops any chance I get. I show that one off.
Yeah, the best. Hey, I've had 2 conversations this morning with clients of ours who are relatively like newish on the program. One gentleman who signed up at the end of last year, he's just hit his $1,500 a week. He's pumped. He's through the moon. And but when he first started, his goal was to get to $1,000 a week inside his first 12 months. He was from a standing start. And when we were articulating, hey, there's potential for more, he was in his mind. He's like, yeah, bullshit. Like I'm fucking. If I get $1,000, I'm happy. Now he's at $1,500 a week, and so we just have so many of these stories of people that are still in that phase who are still. And the other conversation I had was the person who indicated I'm inside our private community group, our private client group, and just like how many people are just like me who are in that build phase. I thought I was going to be in this group where it's just there's plenty of high achievers, and there's like you said, there's big numbers, and for some people that can be somewhat intimidating. But if you just go, well, hold on, there's a whole bunch of people that are exactly on the same journey that I'm on.
That's exactly right.
It's
That's the best part about Trainer HQ is you find like-minded people who've either been and done what you want to do or are going through it with you, and that's the community that you're able to create, and that's probably evident in the gym. You've got a community for me of like-minded people, and that's what I've been able to now find for myself, in a different setting with you boys and the clients that you guys have and the coaches. So it makes so much sense.
Because if people only met you when you won the award, you go, man, he's killing it. You go, well, you should have spoke to him 4 years ago. But that's where you can be, and you got to see what's possible in others. You got to see what success looks like. If you don't get out of your own little, imagine if you only just you and that's it, and you don't see what else is possible.
No, that's it. You don't see what is possible.
And that's why Carlson was saying, you see your name on the door. You're in a spot now, but start to see where you're going to be.
Personalize it for you, because I think what I did initially with Carlson was I was like, I want to have what Carlson has, but Carlson and I are different, so it was a process then of, and he's always been really great in that with me, is how can we make it work for Watto? Not can we have another Carlson, So you got to stick true to what works for you as well. But to see the evidence and the systems and whatnot that other people have done, you can replicate that for sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah, great, so great. Speaking of systems, how do you rate yourself back in the day, technology wise and systems, and how do you feel like you've progressed in that phase now?
But I think back in the day I was just definitely I'm a doer and a action taker, and the finer details of things is probably not my strong point. I've been blessed to have trainers along the way that have that strength that I've been able to delegate and work closely with on that side of things. But I think now with the systems that I've got, I've at one point or another had to go and learn that for myself, because you've got to know your own numbers and how things work. And I think early on I probably shied away from that a little bit, because I probably didn't want to know the numbers because they were so terrible. But you get to a point where you can't hide from them, I guess, as well. But Carlson gives me homework every month and every week, and I get that done. We've worked out what are the numbers that we really need to know, and how can we just check in on them and make sure that they're progressing and show up to them and move that needle forward in whichever way we're sort of targeting at that moment. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Love it, man. I could talk all day on this. That's great. So, mate, I guess in summary about the community, like what does it mean to you now that you built WattFit and the people you serve? It's very important to me, and my community are just so supportive of me, which I'm very grateful for. I guess for them, they turn up every day for away from what they're dealing with in life, and that's their 45 minutes of, I think you boys chatted to Chris Mount about that a couple of weeks ago, is they're turning up for that's the best part of their day in a lot of ways. And so I struggle to relate to that because that's what I do all day, I guess. I don't have that escape, but it's cool to serve them and be part of that. And that's probably why I do have the energy, is because you're giving that off, you're receiving it back. It just sort of flows that way, I guess. Back and forth, you get that return, and the feeling of helping people has never gone away from me. I still get the same feeling as when someone gets a PB now as I did years ago. It's still there, and so I'm always looking for more of that and just finding more ways to serve them. And they're a big supporter of the direction we're going. We're doing a lot of community stuff this year, which I think is going to be really, really cool to sort of cement ourselves in the Caloundra community. We're about to run a team challenge, support a bunch and raise a bunch of money for a local charity, which will be really, really cool. Everyone gets behind that every year, and we've just sort of built on that. We run an iPod
Pod Shuffle night at the end of the year as a fundraiser and have a big party, and everyone just loves getting involved in the direction that we're going, whatever way that is. And we're just building a community that is of like-minded people that have come to the gym. It's probably not their go-to place, and you meet other people like that, and you just sort of, it builds itself in a lot of ways when you get like-minded people in the same room that are on the same mission.
So someone listening to this, they're at a footy club, they're at a park, and they're going, I really do have ambitions to have my own facility, but I'm shitting myself. Could I actually do it? And would you recommend they go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll find a way. If you really want it, you'll find a way, one way or another. I think it comes back to what we were saying earlier. You just got to stack lots of little bits of evidence and belief in yourself, and then you're in a position to make a bigger jump, and that just, I guess it continues, and you're continually growing, and I'm a big believer that your business will never outgrow you as a person, and if you can put the time and effort into yourself, your business will sort of follow.
And then what, looking back, just some real key fundamental things go, if you are going to look at doing it, things that maybe you didn't know at the start, anything that you just go, hey, look, if you're going to explore getting a studio, these are the things that I would just recommend you make sure you're signing off on or ticking on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, whatever the cost is, double it. That's for sure. If you depends how big you want to dream. But I think you've just
I've heard that a lot. Going, I thought it was going to be this, and then it was like this.
It's always a little bit more. That's for sure.
And the reason you say that is because there's a bunch of
there's so many things that
unexpected,
you don't
unknown,
think of.
and so forth.
For sure. Yeah. There's so many little things that you probably don't think of that you don't work out until you go through the process. But I guess, as I said, if you're passionate about it, if you're sold on it, you'll find a way to come up with whatever you need to make it happen. But yeah, I think, I was blessed that, I had a client that sort of, found the position for me, but, real estate agents, and then, you got your accountant, and, probably want a lawyer, and you need insurances, and there's so many things, the list goes on, that you don't account for. But they're the little things that you just got to find a way to make happen.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and that dovetails all the way down to cleaning products and dunning paper and all the above, right?
Yeah, they're spot on. Yeah, there's so many little things.
Yeah. Sounds like it's been very rewarding for you, but like you just hear the passion, don't you? Like
it's definitely coming through.
Yeah.
It's the most. I'm very fulfilled in what I do, and I don't think it gets any better than that, really, in a lot of ways, for sure.
It's the ultimate. Yeah. You built really, my observation, you built the ultimate lifestyle business. Because number one, you've centered it around, you've engineered your lifestyle first, and you're going, this is how I want to live, and these are the people I want to serve, the community I want to build, and you've gone and done it. So
that's
mate,
spot on.
You are why we created Trainer HQ. That's how you win that award. You epitomise everything this is about. So yeah, mate, just from my perspective personally, congrats.
Thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
And thanks, but honestly, thanks to you boys. Like I said, from the moment I spoke to Jace, just felt the value alignment and the weight off the shoulders that you were going to have someone that has your back. And Carlson, of course, as well. I got a massive shout out to him, but I'm forever grateful for you boys as well.
And now you're inspiring others what's possible, because of your hard work, dedication, and you're another example. Okay, this can be done, and it can be done in this particular fashion.
For sure.
Yeah. Congrats, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Love it, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jacob Watto from WattFit. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, boys.